Hello game programmers and welcome back to another NDS programming tutorial. It's been a little while since I've made one of these videos. It is actually 10 o'clock at night right now on a Wednesday night, and I'm basically just making this video just so I feel like I have done something productive today. It's been one of those days. So anyways, a lot has gone on since the last few tutorials, and I've learned a lot since then. There's been a lot of crazy things going on. I had a few technical difficulties, so I might as well just kind of clarify everything right now. First thing, don't do what I did. Do not install DevKit Pro on external hard drive. Yeah, unless, or if you do install it on an external hard drive, make sure you've played with using like an SD card slot and other USB drives first, just to make, until you find the port the drive letter that becomes very consistent with your external hard drive. At first, my external hard drive used to be drive E, and then as soon as I started using my SD card, it switched to drive F, and as you can see, it stays drive F now. And yeah, so I still have all my code projects in here. I'm just, the actual compilers and stuff that are referenced to are actually referenced to the DevKit Pro folder in my C drive, and that's actually a safer route, so I can update DevKit Pro and not have to worry about all my folders and stuff inside of it. I was kind of foolish doing that beforehand. You want to make sure that if you're going to be updating DevKit Pro, you want to make sure that your projects are outside of it. Otherwise, you have to move it before you update DevKit Pro, or you will lose everything. So, enough with that rambling. Second issue I've been having, at least with programming wise, I've had a couple issues with just all sorts of stuff. But programming wise, the second issue was with the music streaming. Yeah, there was a bug that was in my code, but really wasn't a bug in my code, but rather kind of just an issue with MaxMod itself. The idea is when MaxMod is expecting me to fill its little buffer with the audio that I'm filling it with, it does not want to have its stream be closed. It does not know how to handle a stream trying to close while it's waiting for that buffer to be filled. Any other time, it's fine. Just right at that moment, it does not work. And it was locking up the entire audio sound system. It actually was freezing my system, the entire game. So I've figured out a workaround to it. Basically, almost all of the other functions will check to see if the stream is ready to close, and if it is, it will close it. And until then, I'm basically just telling MaxMod over and over and over again to just skip the filling of the root, just filling the buffer thing. I'm just telling it to skip that step until it closes. Not sure if that's the most efficient way. That's the only way I've seemed to be able to get it to work. It does seem to work all right. I'm not sure if it's hanging up my system a little bit, though. I haven't really tested it with other demanding code. But yeah, so that was the issue with that. When I release these music stream files, they should be working. Like I said, I've gotten everything pretty much working now. Not sure if it's the best method, but it is working. So some of you are wondering why I can't just make that process of closing the stream automatic, like outside of that routine. Well, I've tried looking at like interrupt handlers and stuff, and I've learned a lot. However, I've learned a lot. I mean, I actually learned what the SWI stands for. It stands for software interrupt. I've looked at the entire interrupt handling system, and basically it's just not something I want to mess with. All the interrupts have specific purposes and specific strengths for when something else should be utilizing them, that there's just no sense trying to use it simply to check to close a stream. I mean, SWI wait for vblank happens once a frame, but it's during that time that we're going to be doing a lot of updating of the graphics. If we're going to be flushing like 3D matrices and stuff, yeah, we need that vblank time for that kind of thing, and we don't want to be busying that down with checking for the string. It's just a process we don't need to add to an already busy area. So basically I just decided to go with this route until I can find a better solution. I kind of doubt that I'm going to find one, but oh well, what can I do? So, besides that, I thought this video I would just give you guys a few tips as to how to make your text games a little bit better. Obviously you're going to want more functions. Generally this is going to be a very like a text-based game, and you just have like several routines, and yeah, but there's a couple things that you're going to want to do, and I'm actually going to open up Dropbox and show you guys our project that we did, and I'll kind of show you how it kind of worked. I did not code much of this, and you can see the get key functions were kind of merged in this setup here. But here's the first thing you want to make sure you do. You can check the init music stream with an if statement, make sure it's actually playing. I like that error, you got no tunes, man. Awesome. Yep. Just what the user wants to see when their music is not working. Interesting. Alright. So that's a good safety mechanism check to make sure things are working properly. And one of the things you want to do is, priority-wise, music always comes before graphics, because the change in music is a little bit more delayed than the graphics. I mean, you don't want to have the screen flicker and then the sound come in, because the sound is just slightly delayed, and that's just due to the nature of sound. It's not that the speakers are slow, it's that like when you play a sound effect, the sound effect doesn't start right away. At least most don't. Usually there's some like little volume ramp increase to the sound effect, so it just sounds more natural. And you kind of want the sound effect to just start ramping up as you switch the screen, so that the main sound effect plays right after the picture switched, and it's not some weird delay process. So for both sound effect and music, you want to do that, where you have the sound effects and music always come before you switch the graphics. And that's just a basic rule of thumb. The init music stream, yep, that's just, Yeah, they had two musics come right back and forth. Yeah, that was one thing that I did discover though, was was with my music streaming library, the looping was working properly. If you guys were a little skeptical of how that would work out, the looping worked. It was the one-time playing that didn't, because it tried to close the stream on its own. So yeah, lots of storyline, and as you can see, music, then background, and then text. Music, and apparently there is no background to that one. Combat choice. Yeah, no background for that. Flying Dragon. Here we go. Sound effect, background. Background. And then there's that to continue. That's just a little break. And then it's going to be sound effect, background. So that to continue, that's actually waiting for the user to press. So what's really happening is it's sound effect, background. It's these two that are linked together. That one's just kind of a floating background change. We didn't have a sound effect for it. Here again, sound effect, background. This is, as you can see, this is very, very important. And you can kind of see that MM effect, NF create tile background in action. And as for main, we probably should have had a function to load all these backgrounds, but in our case, we had, how many backgrounds did we have? 328 to 345. What is that? 18? Yeah, 18. So we had 18 backgrounds out of the possible 32 that Night Fox allowed. And since we weren't doing any like heavy graphics and stuff like that, I mean, we just decided to load everything into RAM because we weren't using the RAM for much else. So load all the backgrounds in. We actually loaded the sound effects in, and I'm not sure where all the sound effects got loaded. Yeah, right here, apparently they got loaded. We loaded all the sound effects, not as many as we had backgrounds. I'm not exactly sure why they got loaded in here. It's actually probably not a good thing, but I don't think MaxMod has complained to us. Like I said, I did not code this, or I did not code most of this. I mainly coded some of the other include files, like the music stream and the random number generator. I mostly coded those things that are in different files. But yeah, so we just loaded everything in. There's a random number generator in action. And then this was all the leftover scraps from the template they were using and totally butchered. So yeah, and there's all the get key functions because they decided to use the old template with all the get key functions in main. Here are all the includes we used: C standard IO, NDS.H, Night Fox, C standard library, time.H. Interesting. How did they get by with that? I don't know. I thought they were going to use ctime, but maybe time.H is another one. I need some refreshing with the C++ standard libraries. Yeah. RNG.H, I wrote that. Wasn't much. I mean, it's your basic random number generator functions. MaxMod 9, sound.H, and then soundbank.H. That's produced directly by MaxMod. So yeah, I mean, it's not hard to do this. I mean, you just load your sound effects and your music and then your backgrounds. That's a big tip. And then just have some kind of structure to just sort out the different events and figure out what kind of game you want. Have choices. You definitely want control over your indenting. Where is the... Let's see if I can find a choice. Here, combat choice. Notice it's what item will you use? You use A, sword. Okay, they didn't really do much formatting. You might want to just do like /T's in front of like the A, B, and X just to show like what you can do. You can format instead of a period. You can do colons or dashes or something like that. It's up to you guys how you want to format your menus and stuff. Just try and not cram everything together. Try and make it a somewhat nice layout. They could have done a little bit better with this, but in the end, I don't think it really became too much of an issue. So yeah, that is game making. For future videos, just so you guys know, I decided that instead of doing like that intermediate level tutorial on going through like the more advanced like input output using like what went behind the get key functions and all that, I decided I'm just going to do a tutorial on that once we get into the animation stuff. That'll be coming up pretty soon. There's been a lot of animation things that we've been trying to figure out ourselves. We'll probably talk about those when we do kind of like our gameplay videos. We're doing one tomorrow, hopefully, and hopefully we'll be able to discuss those kind of things then. And yeah. If any of you were wondering what was going on with like all the technical issues and stuff, basically I discovered my music software, which I will be making tutorials on how to make your music sound good for the NDS. I'll be making those once I actually have some music projects. But I found out that this software does not like my external hard drive. So basically I have to, when I make a project, I have to put everything on my internal hard drive, which is kind of small. It's only like a 256 gigabyte, but once I'm done with the project, then I can kind of consolidate it or just delete it and move it onto my external hard drive, or like I said, just delete it. If it's just like video audio sync or something like that. If it's my actual music, of course I'm gonna archive it because that's just what I do. But yeah, hopefully that explains everything about game making, clarifies a few things, and I'm learning more every day, people. Learning more every day, and we're gonna have some awesome animation tutorials, and if we don't do other stuff first, and keep your eyes open. We might have some graphics tutorials soon. Some of you may be anxiously waiting for that. Actually, I don't even know what I'm talking about. Nobody watches these videos yet. I get maybe like 5 or 8 views right now when I'm making that. That'll probably change like in a few months or something. There'll be like 100 views, maybe even more. I don't know. But yeah, I'm making these tutorials to go out into the far future. And I don't think I'm doing a very good job. Anyways, that's enough about me just rambling on. And I think I will see you future game programmers in... Actually, what am I talking about? you guys should be game programmers right now. You have everything to make your little slideshow game thing. And once you're done, we'll get right into animation. So until then, keep making games, people. That's my new outro.